Hello, hi there, namaste. So, in this class, we'll discuss about distribution point. Okay, so what is distribution point? So, we all know that distribution point is a site system role that contains source files for the clients to download. Okay, so what are those source files? Those are application content, software updates, OS images, boot images, and the remaining file stuffs, etc. Okay, so every source files which is required for the client to download, those source files are available in the distribution point server. Okay, so here it's saying by default this role installs on the site server when we are installing primary or secondary, but there is an option to change the DP server name. So on that options you can change the DB server wherever you want. You can install the DP. So if you are proceeding with the default settings, you can have the DP and NP in the same primary server. Okay, and this role isn't supported at the central administration site, CAS. Okay, so distribution point role is only for the primary or secondary. Okay, so let's take a simple example. So here you can say this is the SCCM console. Okay, so from the console, I'd like to deploy Adobe Reader, okay, to the client, Adobe Reader. So first we'll distribute this Adobe Reader to the distribution point, right? After we created the package in the console, we distribute the package to the distribution point, TP server. So once we uh, deploy from the console, so the policies will create in the MB server and will be sent to the client. Okay, so client will get the policy and then it will request the DP to download the source files. Okay, so download the source files, Adobe Reader, and it will trigger the policies and install the Adobe Reader software. Okay, so this is what happened in the backend, right? This is the actual process, correct? So whenever the client needed the source files, it will request the DP and it will download the source files from the distribution point. Okay, so let's see what are the scale and size for this DP. So each primary and secondary site supports up to 250 distribution points. Okay, so we can install 250 DPs in a single primary or secondary. And additionally, we can configure 2000 distribution points as the pool DPs. Okay, for example, in a single primary site, it can support 2000 and 250 distribution points uh, when 2000 DPs are configured as the full DPs. Okay, fine. So next, each distribution point supports the connections from 4000 clients. Okay, so you can say 4000 clients will contact the DP to get the content. Okay, and each primary site supports a combined total of 5000 distribution points. Okay. So here we said primary and secondary supports 2000 additional DPs as the full DPs and the 250 as the standard DPs, correct? So we combine 2250 DPs, okay, can be separated by the primary or secondary. So let's take a simple scenario. We have the primary site and we have two secondary sites, okay, and let's say three secondary sites, okay. So each primary site can support 2250 and secondary site also can support 2250. Okay, so if you calculate these two, let's say for example, okay, what will get? You can have the 4500 dBs. by combined total, right? And these are 4500 dBs. While combining all the dBs in this hierarchy, you can have 9000 dBs, correct? But the parameter site can't support 9000 dBs. The capacity of the parameter site is only 5000 dBs. So by considering this point, you need to configure the dBs in your hierarchy. Okay, and then so each DB supports the combined total of 10,000 packages and applications. Okay, so it is also the combined a distribution point can support 10,000 applications and packages. So fine. The number of these supporting, I mean, the packages or the clients completely depend on the speed of the network and hardware configuration of the server. Okay. So here I gave the simple minimum configuration for the distribution point rule. You can have the two cores and 8 GB of RAM. And the disk space, it is completely depend on the storage content. Okay, so how much content we are storing, we are placing on the DB. Okay, so I recommend to have the 4 cores and 16 GB of RAM. Okay, that will be a minimum configuration for the distribution points. Even you have the high load also, it can manage. Okay, fine. So next, if you configure the full DPs, okay, so you need to consider the following points. The first point and very important point is the full DPs acts like a client while pulling the content from the source DPs. Okay, so full DPs means, let's say simple example here. Okay, so you have the Adobe Reader software, okay, configured in the console, and you have, for example, you have like a 3 DPs in your hierarchy. In that, 2 DPs are the full DPs. Okay, so full DP means while you are installing the DP wizard, okay, in the installation wizard, you can have an option to configure the DP as a full DP. Okay, so full DP always have a source DP. Okay, whenever the content is distributed to the full DP, it will take the content from the source DP instead of the the source location path. So Adobe Reader is stored in the some other file share path. Okay, so the standard DP. Okay, if you distribute content to the standard DP, it will get the source files from the share path. The full DPs, when you distribute the content to the full DPs, it will get the content from the source DP. Okay, it won't take the source file path. It will directly pull the content from the source DP. The DPs which are configured in the full DP as the source DPs. Okay, fine. I hope you understand this point. So then the number of full DPs, the number of full DP that one source DP can support similarly depends on the speed of the network and hardware configuration of the source DPs. Okay, and also the amount of the content you have to apply. So the next thing we need to consider is, so when you deploy any content or the package to the clients, so client will take the content at a different timings, okay, during a deployment. So whenever the client is online, then only it will take the content from the DB, correct? So, but when you consider a full DP, full DPs request the content at the same time. Okay. So for example, if you have a 2000 full DPs, okay. So these 2000 full DPs request the content to the source DP at the same time. Okay. Not at different times. Every DP will trigger at the same time. So if your standard DP is not configured properly, I mean the hardware configuration, we have the lower RAM and the lower the CPU cores, definitely it will get a delay in the distribution, correct? So this is the main point we need to consider. So based on this, we need to uh, configure our standard DP hardware, okay, and the speed of the network as well. So the full DPs can request all available content, okay, not only just the content that is applicable to them. For example, in your standard DP, you can have 2000 plus contents, correct? And when you're distributing content to the full DP, for example, you only distributed two applications to the full DP. Okay, but this full DP won't take these two applications. It will take entire 2000 applications to this content library. Okay, this is the main thing you need to consider. So when you place a high processing load on the source DP, there can be unexpected delays in the distributing the content to the large target distribution points. So obviously, because the entire content will be gathered by the pool DPs at the same time, so definitely it will be a delay in the distribution. Okay, so fine. I hope you got this point. So next, distribution point installation. So we'll install one DP practically. Okay. So what we need? We need a dedicated server. We already have the dedicated server, and we need to add the site system installation account as a member of the local admin and also the site server. Okay, so we'll add those and the server roles and features. We need a .NET framework. You can add the .NET framework 3.5 in the latest version. So currently we have the 4.8 and we are installing the 2022 servers. So by default 4.8 will be installed in that machine. Okay, so no problem. So we need only to install the 3.5. So next, the RDC, remote differential compression. So you can ask why we need RDC means. So RDC is used to generate packet signatures and compare digital signatures. So this is the reason we required RDC. And bits is not required for the DP installation, okay, because it will use the inbuilt bits in the Windows. Okay, so the clients are not uploading anything to the DP. Okay, so that's the reason we don't require the bits to configure in the distribution point server. Okay, so next, IIS configuration. So we need to have the application deployment extensions and the security as a Windows authentication and management compatibility, Metabase and WMR compatibilities. And after these IIS configurations, so we need to configure the HTTP words, head, get, and prop find. And additionally, so I'm saying make sure that your IIS is not blocking these file extensions. Okay, make sure that your request filtering configuration don't block this file extension. You need to have these file extensions. Okay, you can check this one. And finally, Visual C++. So it will be installed by the configuration manager automatically. Starting from 2107, it is started to install the required Visual C++ and the distribution point server. Okay. So you can see on each computer that hosts the distribution point. Okay. So these are the requirements we need to consider. And also we have some other like ports. What are the ports used for the communication? From site server to distribution point, we can have the SMB 445 and TCP and 35 as the RPC. Okay, so we need to check whether the these two ports are available and unopened in the DP or not, and also the distribution point to management point. Okay, so communication from the DP to MP, so it will use the normal HTTP and HTTPS ports 80 and 443. Okay, so when you ask why the distribution point will communicate the MP means, so to report the status of the pre-staged content and to report the usage summary data, and to report the content validation, and to report the status of package downloads while we are using the full DPs. Okay, in these scenarios, the DP will communicate to the management point. Okay. So next thing we need to configure the firewall. Okay, the inbound rules. So these are the inbound rules we need. DCOM in and WMI in. Okay, so why we need these firewall means if we forget to configure these firewalls without these rules, client will receive an error. This is the error code in the data transfer service.log when attempting to download a content. Okay, so to avoid this error, we need to configure the firewall with these two inbound rules. Okay, and then the PKI certificate. So you only need the PKI certificate while you're using the HTTPS communication in your environment, and also HTTPS enabled management point. Okay, if you're using the only HTTP communication, you don't require to configure this PKI certificate. Okay, then we need to take a note here. So when you configure all MPs for the HTTPS, then HTTPS enabled DPs must use the PKI issued certificate. Okay. So don't use the self-signed certificates on the DPs when MP is using the certificates. So remember, this is the important point. Okay. So if MP is using the certificates, so don't use the self-signed for the DPs. Issues may occur, like for example, distribution points won't send the state messages to the MP. Okay. So consider and cross-check whether in your hierarchy you're using the API certificates or not. And finally, we can check the log files here, the STEMGR log and the SNSTB mod log. Okay, so this is all about the distribution point installation. So we can check the installation in the practical. Okay, so first we'll check the requirements. Okay, so we'll install the requirements one by one, and then we'll install the DP. Okay, so let's go to the primary site server. So now we are in the primary site server. Okay, and I'm going to the remote of this distribution point, new server. We have the DP03 as the new server. Okay, so we need to install the 3.5 .NET framework, correct? So go to the dashboard and add roles and features, and then click next and next. So select the .NET 3.5. Okay, and scroll down. You can have the remote differential compression RDC. Okay, and then you need to have the features, the IIS. So here I forgot. So select the IIS as well. Then click next, next. So in IIS, we need to configure Windows authentication under the application development. We need to add this IIS API extension under the management compatibility. So we need to add database compatibility and WMI compatibility. So I think these are enough. So we can cross check once. So .NET Framework, RDC, IIS configurations. Okay, fine. So once it is installed, we can configure the results. Okay. So click next. So here we are adding the 3.5 framework, correct? So we need to provide the distance source path. So where we can find? We can find in the CD file sources SX. So copy this source path and provide it here and OK. Then install. So it will take some time. So in the meanwhile, you can add the site system and the so for that we need to go to LUSR mgr.mfc. So we need to add the local admin group, correct? Add in the local admin group, the first one. So SCCM site system installation account and then site server. Okay. So you can observe here the computer account is there and then the site system installation account. You can apply. Okay. And next, you need to configure the firewall. You can go with the wf.msc inbound rules, add a new rule, redefined Windows management and instrumentation. Click next, add the SCCM in and WMI in. So in the rule exists section in this column, you can say already exists, correct? So it means rule is already there. So when you scroll down, when get started with the name, when you scroll down, you can see we have the Discom in and WMI in, but these are not enabled right now. See, you can see there is no green icon, green tick mark here. Okay, before this one. So we need to enable these tools. Okay, you can simply go next, allow the connection, and finish. Okay, so when you refresh, you can find the those two rules are enabled. See, those two rules are enabled. There is a green tick mark. Okay, fine. So the firewall also configured successfully, and the roles and features also installed. Now we need to configure the IIS. So go to the tools and IIS manager, and then you can have the server here, and go to the request filtering and HTTP words, allow, and type get, and then allow, and head, and then allow, and then drop, find. Okay, click OK. So we added the HTTP verbs as well, and the file name extensions. We don't have anything blocked here, so we are good. So we are good to go. So you can close this one. So everything is configured, I think. Okay. Yeah, I forgot one thing. So I need to add the one file, which is the no SMS on drive file. Correct. So we need to add no SMS on drive dot SMS. So where we need to put this one? We need to put in the C drive. Continue. And finally, we forgot one thing. So in this environment, I am using the certificates. Okay. So my MP is configured with the HTTPS communications. So I need to use the certificate for this distribution point. So I'm requesting a certificate, all task, request new certificate, and next. So here I have the MP, sorry, DP certificate, enroll, and finish. So I need to export the certificate so that I can import this certificate in the installation wizard. Click next, export a key, next, export a password, okay, next, and I can browse. So I'll name it as the DP03 search. Next, and finish. Okay, so I have this certificate as well. So I'd like to share this certificate so I can easily copy in the primary site. So I'm simply mentioning this folder. I'm going to share this folder with the full control permission, and I can cut this certificate and paste it here. Okay, so I think everything is good. Certificate also available. So let's cross check once. Is there anything else we missed? So we have the .NET Framework, RDC, is configured, HTTP words, and the extensions as well. Ports we need to check. Okay, we check the ports, and the firewall configure certificates also imported. So now we can check the ports. So for that, we can have the PowerShell, and we can type test hyphen net connection, and then we need to check the ports from the site server to distribution point and the distribution point to MP. Okay, so first we can check the uh, communication from the site server, and then port. What we need? 135, and also 443. Okay, uh, I think it's 445. Sure. Okay, so 445 is good, which means the assembly, and 135 also good. Next, we can test the connection from DP to MP. Okay, so our MP also the same server config.mgeo.com. So DP will communicate with the base ports 80 and the 443. Okay, so all good. So ports also communicating properly, no issue. So we can have the wizard now. Right click on the so you can go to the administration and the site configuration and then the site and site system roles. So you can right click, create a site system role, I mean site system server. So here we need to browse with the server name TP03, check names, okay, provide the site code, and also use the site system account, use the site system installation account, click next, we'll have proxy, and select the distribution point here, click next, and you can give a description. For example, when you say this is the US DP, okay, you can use the location of the DP server. So you can easily remember the location of the DP server. Okay, so then you need to check this box, install and configure IIS if required by the configuration manager. So we already configured the IIS in case if we miss anything, any minor configurations, so it will check those configurations and install if required. Okay. So the remaining things is completely about the content management in the SCCM. Okay. The branch cache and the speed, input bandwidth, and the pre-service content and Microsoft cache to cache. So it's completely based on the content management, how we are uh, configuring and how we are managing the content in SCCM. Okay, so we'll discuss about this point while we are discussing about the content management. Okay, so I'd like to have another session for the content management completely. So on that video, we can discuss more. So click next now, and see by default it is taking the HTTPS because I'm using the HTTPS communications in these scenarios, in this environment. Okay, and already mentioned. So if your MP is using the certificates, please do not use the self-signed certificates. Correct. So in this case, my MP is using the certificates, so I should import the certificate. Okay. So I can browse. So I already uh, I already shared the path correct certificate. So DP03, DP search, DP03 search. And then I need to provide the password. Click next. So here, so the primary content library, it will take the automatic by default. So it will go for the C drive. The C drive, we place the file correct, SMS on drive.sms. So it will check that file. So file is available. So it will take the another drive, okay, next drive. So like a D drive. Okay. It will install the DB content in the D drive automatically. So if you want to specify a specific drive ledger, so you can specify here like a D drive, okay, for the primary sharing purpose. Okay, and secondary. If the D drive is completely, occupied, uh, disk is full, then it will move to the another drive. Okay, it will take also automatically it will move to another drive. So for this also, if you want to specify any drive, so you can specify the drive ledger. Okay. So before moving to the one drive to another drive, for example, here the D drive is fully occupied and it wants to move to the another drive, correct? So before moving to another drive, it is asking to uh, give some space for the DP itself. Okay, I mean the drive. So which is the drive space reserve. Okay. So I can say 1 GB. So we are making this setting to keep 1 GB space left in the D drive. Okay. After that, we can move to the other drives. To find it is configured, click next. So this is the full DP section. So here you can click this one, enable the DP to pull content from the other distribution points. And here you have the source DP. So you can add the source DP here, for example, DP1 or DP2. Okay. So like this, we are configuring the full DPs. Okay. This is for the full DP configuration only. Okay. So right now, I'm not configuring any full DPs. So if you configure the full DP, you need to provide the source ones, I mean source DPs. Okay. It is mandatory. So right now I'm not going to configure this TP as the full DP. So I need to configure this TP as the standard TP only. Okay. So click next. Pixie settings and the multicast. These two sections are completely for the operating system usage. Okay. And multicast as well for operating system deployment. So I'm not going to configure anything here right now. So we have the dedicated session for the OST operating system deployment. So on that time, we'll discuss more about these Pixie settings and the multicast as well. So I'm skipping these two. And for the content validation, you can provide a schedule here. So it is to uh, check the packages in the DPs. Okay, it will validate the packages in the DP. So for that, you can schedule a time. Okay, and also you can make the validation priority lowest or medium or high. Okay, so if you put a high priority value here, so it might increase the CPU usage. Okay. So default is fine. So click next. So the boundary groups. So every distribution point should have at least one boundary group configured. Okay. And also every boundary group should have at least one DP configured. Okay. So we need to specify a boundary group here. So once you specify the boundary group, so the devices which comes under that boundary group will take the content from this particular DP. Okay. So in our case, DP3. So I'm going to add a boundary. So I already have the dedicated boundary here, DP3 boundary. Okay. So on the clients in the DP3 boundary will get the content from the DP3. Okay, distribution point. Okay, fine. Everything is configured. This is the summary. Okay. So once you click next, and once you complete the installation process, the actual installation will begin. Okay. So click next and close. Okay. So we can monitor the logs. So you can have the distmgr.log and we can't monitor it right now exactly. It will take some time. Okay, you can close and you can also monitor the SMS dbmon. Okay, so it will take some time to trigger the the installation process. Okay, so actually the inboxes will get this one distribution manager.box. So this is the file 4.ins. 4 means here the DP ID. Okay. So we have the file here, the distmgr.box 4.ins file. So it is the main file. So distribution manager is started the process of installing the DP. Okay. So we'll go to the DP server. See, here we have two folders, SCCM content library and SMS underscore DP dollar. Okay, these are the main two folders which we can confirm the DP is installing or installed. Okay, fine. You can ask me, there is other two folders also available in the DP, correct? So there is the other two folders, but those two folders will come whenever the content is distributed to the DP. Okay. Currently, there is no content distributed to this DP because it's in the installation process. Okay. By default, we can have the client packages by default. Okay. While installing the DP, HMN will distribute the client packages to the DP for installing the DP. Okay. So we need to wait. You can also monitor in the monitoring section. Go to the monitoring section. Here we have the distribution status and then the distribution point configurations. Okay. See, here you can see uh, two errors failed to distribute. Okay. These are the client packages ID 004 and 005. So initially it can say it is failed, but after some time it will redistribute to the DPs. Okay. So here you can observe distribution point installation or upgrade successfully completed. Okay. So no issue on the installation. So if you want, you can redistribute manually as well. So here you have the package IDs. Okay. So you can redistribute to the DP manually. Okay. And also the client upgrade package. You can redistribute to the manually. Okay. So I just redistributed, right? So it's in progress currently, I guess. So it needs to trigger. Also, it is in progress, correct? This package. So it is in progress means it is copying the package from the console, I mean the source file location to TP location. So here you can see we have these two folders created. Okay, you can see the time here. So at 1:26 p.m. the installation begins. So we have these two folders, and at 1:29, currently it is 1:29 p.m. We started the distributing the packages. So these two is created. Okay, so completely we can have these four folders in the distribution point. Okay. And we can have the status here. It is distributing currently, and once it is successfully distributed, you can see the status change to complete green color. Okay, so it's still distributing one package. So okay, fine. This is the complete installation of the distribution point. Okay, so I hope you understand the concepts and also the video is clear to you. Okay, so if not, you can rewind the video. Okay, so fine, guys. So we'll see you again in the next video. Until then, have a great day. Bye.